Hi everyone, my name is Steph, this is the Novelty Corner and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a try chapter video for you and I'm having one of those days where I literally have a pile of things on my to-do list and I have zero motivation to do any of them. So I'm going to be very kind to myself and I'm going to read for a little bit. That's how I'm going to start my day and just see if I can drum up the will to do things by being successful in something I know I can do. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. And if you've never seen one of my try chapter videos before, the concept is very simple. It's literally I take a bunch of books, usually 10, and they're books that I haven't read. I try the first chapter and then I decide whether it's a book that I want to keep reading, whether it's a book I'm going to keep reading but maybe save to read a little bit later, or whether it's a book that I definitely do not like and I'm going to get rid of it. So it's a great way to bring down my unread numbers, which is something that I'm doing through the Read What You Won't challenge. It's also a good way to keep myself accountable, particularly because I'm going to go with a Star Jar edition, which is this lovely thing here. I think this is technically the first introduction of the new jar, since the other one was this size, so the stars didn't fit in it anymore. It also means I can shake it. Essentially, all these stars represent unread books on my Kindle. Now, there are a few books that I've already read so far this year, so if I pull them, then I just have to pull again. And essentially I'm going to be pulling 10 stars. If I pull an anthology or a book that I know is for a specific reading project, I'm just going to pull again. The stars will go back in the jar. And yeah, we're going to try those chapters. So I tend to do these videos when I just need some motivation because I really enjoy them and I get so much satisfaction out of going, actually, you know what? I really do want to read that and it's something that I'm going to keep reading, or I really don't want to read that, so I'm going to get rid of it. And I've talked about this before on my channel, but my DNFs are based purely on whatever I'm feeling in the moment and I feel no regrets about it. Like, life's too short. There's so many books out there to read. So we are going to get started with this star jar. I keep shaking it and I've got to stop shaking it while I'm talking. I'm going to shake it. We're going to pull 10 stars. We're going to see what books we pull and then we're going to try them. Shake, shake, shake. I really did need a new jar because now I can actually stick my hand in it. All right. Star number 1. Of course, the only problem, like, these stars are so aesthetic and they're so pleasing to look at, but the problem is they can be really difficult to open. But that's okay, this one is behaving. And of course, the first one I pull is an anthology. It's the Hockey Heartthrob anthology, so I'm just gonna put this one back because I don't have time to read an entire anthology. All right, take 2 on star number 1. It's a purple one. I don't know if this is going to come up, but it's The Stray. I think this one's Rachel Vincent. Let's check. Yeah, this has been on my TBR for ages. All right, pull number 2. Oh, we just did a purple one. Let's go with something different. Let's go with like this fluorescent orange yellow color, because why not? Also, none of these colours mean anything. But this one is Dino Rift. I can't remember who the author is though. Borne. Okay. Choosing these is takes so much longer than a random number generator just because I have to undo them. This one is a peach, fluoro peach star. Ooh, When Women Were Dragons. Now I can't remember. Not that that's in focus. I can't remember if this is a short story or not. It's Kelly Barnhill. Not that it's going to matter because I will just read it anyway. But I don't think it is. Okay. When Women Were Dragons. We are getting variety today. I feel like I should just pull the 7 stars and then open them. Yeah, next time. All right, we are back to a galaxy star. All right, and this one is Deja Brew arc, and it's a Jessica Gadziala arc because I was still getting all of her arcs, I think, up until at least halfway through last year. All right, next one. Digging. Another galaxy star. So far the stars are behaving with the unwrapping. Donovan, I think this is another Jessica Gadziala. Yes. And it's an arc. Do I remember where in the series this falls? Absolutely not. Okay, 6 is a blue galaxy star. is Sir, and I'm pretty sure this is N.R. Walker. Yes, indeedy it is. I seem to pull an N.R. Walker book in every one of these. That's because I have so many of them that are unread. Let's go with the green. Piece for Poseidon. So this one is by Sotia Lazu. I am probably butchering that, but we're going to read it. All right, 3 more. I don't know if you saw that, but one went flying. I guess it really wants to be read. We'll go with that one. This is why you should put the lid on your jars. All right, it's a fluoro green. All right, this one's called Bound to the Vampire, or Bound to the Vampires. Oh God, is that a white shoes? Let's find out. This one's by Traci Lovelot. I don't know. As I said, we're getting variety today. All right. No more shaking the jar without the lid on it. All right, second last one. Here's another galaxy star. Six months, 3 days. Oh, okay. This is Charlie Jane Anders, who I have not read in an absolute age. I can't off the top of my head think about which book by Charlie Jane Anders I've read before, but that's exciting. All right, and lucky last. What are we gonna go with? This one, right from the bottom. All right, so this one is not going to focus. It's Rookie Recovery. This is Lex Easton and Jemma Croft. This one, I was so excited to see it. I love the cover of this book. This cover is a fantastic illustrated cover, and I've heard mixed things about it. So I'm kind of curious to see where I stand on it, because it is a queer hockey romance. We have our 10 books. We are going to try our 10 chapters. So the story starts out with Faith. Faith is studying on campus. She is 23 and she is hoping to get into grad school. We also learn very quickly that she's clearly part of some kind of paranormal society, a pack, and that her father is in charge, and that she's kind of at college at his sufferance, I suppose. And she's with a friend and she scents a stray, so someone without a pack, and she decides to go investigate. So she sends her friend off and she goes to investigate. She gets into a fight, and then her father's second in command turns up. His name is Mark, and they clearly have some kind of history going by the banter, and he has come to collect her because someone that she is close to has been taken by another paranormal pack shifter kind of thing, and she's not happy about it because she tries to avoid going home. There were a couple of phrases that made me question whether this will hold up over time. I forgot to even look up when this was published. Hang on, that might be a good place to start, because I have a feeling this is going to be very of its time. The writing itself is great. Like, the actual pace and the writing is fantastic, so I want to keep reading it. But when was it first published? Yeah, it was published in 2007, so there are going to be things in here that are not to today's standards. But that's okay, because that's time and place. There's a point where if a book is being published today in 2025 with questionable content, themes, phrases, etc., there's a big difference to something that was basically published nearly 20 years ago. That's one of the things that you learn when you study books. You put them into context with when they were written. All right, Dino Rift is next. Okay, so obviously a book called Dino Rift is going to be about dinosaurs, and the first chapter opens with emergency services called out because there has been an animal sighting and attack, and when they get there they see something that they are not expecting, obviously some kind of dinosaur, but there is also a person there who has been studying the dinosaur for a year and has some kind of relationship with the dinosaur or whatever it is. So yeah, like very intriguing, also a potential at some point. I've just realized it's written in third person, which I think is a prompt for the 52 book club challenge, so that could be one to save for when I need to read for that prompt. All right, next we are going to start When Women Were Dragons. The first thing I just have to say, and I say this anytime I pick up a Kelly Barnhill book, her writing is just beautiful. The way that she uses turns of phrase and words to construct sentences that just keep you reading is stunning. Like I love her writing so much. The first little bit of this book are letters and testimonies about this strange phenomenon of dragoning, where women turn into dragons. One is about a woman who is being abused by her husband who turns into a dragon. The other is a report to Congress on why this has been hidden and that they can't even research it because even to this present day this is still happening. And then in the first chapter we meet our presumably our main protagonist, who is currently unnamed, and she is 4 years old. Her mother has gone missing and she's living with her father and her aunt, and they're not overly affectionate. And she's 4 years old and she goes next door to visit the old lady who lives there, and she sees a dragon for the first time. And she, like, the chapter ends with this beautiful little quote. It says, "Perhaps this is how we learn silence, an absence of words, an absence of context, a hole in the universe where the truth should be." Because she learns at 4 years old that she's not allowed to talk about the dragon. Like, I was excited to read this anyway. It's one of those books because it sits outside my preferred genre. Even though I love Kelly Barnhill, I just kind of have to be in the right frame of mind to read it. But her writing is just gorgeous. Would I regret reading that today? Absolutely not. But we must continue with the try chapter. So the next one is Deja Brew. Alright, so Deja Brew by Jessica Gadziala. The first chapter is about Shale, who has opened a small coffee shop in Navasink Bank, which is Jessica Gadziala's wider world, and she is also mixed up unintentionally, but now something that she has to keep doing, with a drug cartel. And she's gone to pick up the latest shipment because she's basically been blackmailed into doing it, only to find that someone has signed her name for the shipment and it has been taken and she has no idea where it is, and it is a lot of money. Yeah, this sits within her romantic suspense stories, which are the ones that I enjoy the most within her world, so also a possibility. And now we're going to start Donovan, which is another Jessica Gadziala story. Okay, so the first chapter of Donovan is just getting to know Donovan as a character, the fact that he's a little bit older, he's come to the biker club from street racing, and most of it's just his thoughts on, you know, getting older and the fact that he'd rather have a nap than go out and chase women most nights of the week. And he's out for a ride and just kind of contemplating life, which, relatable. I'm going to be really annoyed if it turns out he's in his 20s. And then he is hit from behind. So there is a bike accident. That's where the first chapter ends off. It is what it is. I think there's at least one other book before this one that I haven't read, so I would probably go back and read that before I continue on with Donovan. Let's go back to Sir by N.R. Walker. not sure how I feel about this one. So it is a queer MM story. It is a dom sub story, and it's very different sort of to what I've read from N.R. Walker in the past. I'm a big fan of her light and fluffy romances, I will not lie. It's a mix of religion and BDSM, which is fine. Like that's fine. But it's kind of an interesting mix where there's this sort of club that trains dominants and submissives, but it's been born out of a religious belief. I should say I only read the prologue, but the prologue was as long as a chapter, so I'm not reading further than that because it's the first chapter in the book. And we find out that one of the submissives, Hunter, has been mistreated by his dominant, and so the senior people within this organization have come to remove Hunter from that situation because they believe in people's hard limits and they want to make sure that everyone is safe. And so it's about Hunter being placed with another dominant who I'm assuming is then, well, I'm making the assumption that that's going to be the relationship. I'm not 100% certain how I feel about it. I'm gonna have to think on this one. Now we're gonna try a piece for Poseidon. Okay, so this one is probably going to be a DNF for me. Not because I think it's badly written, I just don't care. So we start off with the prologue. I did read the prologue in the first chapter because they were fairly short. We have Sai, who is only fairly young, and his mother is basically returning him to somebody, and he realizes that that somebody is a god of some description, and that god's name is Sea, and Sai is short for Poseidon. And then in the first chapter he's basically been told he needs to go to Athens and he needs to sleep with a woman so that he can ascend to his godhood, and that just rubs me the wrong way. So that's going to be a DNF. Now we're going to try Bound to the Vampires. And this one was also fairly meh. So I think this one also might be saying goodbye to my collection. So we have Mel, who is a vampire hunter, but she's on probation because she had to turn on at her own coven and killed her former partner, I think. Anyway, she's just been told that she has to take on this case and she's going to have to play nice with other people who I'm assuming are going to be the vampires. There are a couple of things, like if you were running a professional hunting agency of some kind, would you refer to the person that you need to kill as the baddie? I mean, I know that that's an acceptable term, but it felt out of context in this book. Anyway, that's fine. I'm really picky about vampire books as well, if you can't already tell. So yeah, let's try 6 months, 3 days. Okay, so this one is a short story. It's only 33 pages long, which means I will probably come back and finish it, but I've kind of stopped at a bit of a break in the story. So 6 months, 3 days is about two people who can both see the future and have been working up to meeting each other. So they've seen their future, but this is the first time they've ever met. And they're about to see where this relationship is going to go, which I find kind of really interesting. It's definitely sci-fi. I will come back to this at the end. Let's do the first chapter of Rookie Recovery and then I'll circle back to 6 months, 3 days. Alright, so Rookie Recovery starts out in Jamie's perspective. Jamie is a former pro hockey player who was injured. I think he did his ACL, and he is now a physical therapist. I think he is in some way associated with the team that he used to play for, and he's also studying a business degree, which he's finding challenging. Anyway, he's 37, so I think this is an age gap MM romance. His best friend Katie drags him out to a bar to get him out of the house, essentially, and There he meets the newest recruit for the Boston team. His name is, oh God, what's his name? Archie. Anyway, Archie is British and very, very attractive. And his teammates get him drunk as part of initiation. And then he ends up hitting on Jamie. And Jamie's like, you're drunk and you're young. See you later. And that's kind of where the chapter ends. The writing is good. I'm just wondering how the power dynamic is going to go, because obviously we're going to have someone who is the physical therapist, the doctor of another. So that's always an interesting thing to read. But I am intrigued. I'm definitely going to read 6 Months, 3 Days. And then what I think I might read is Deja Brew. We'll see. Give it a little bit longer and just read something just completely different and easy to read, just because I haven't done that for a while. But I'll update you after 6 months, 3 days, and we'll see how I'm feeling. 6 months, 3 days. I can't remember before if I said time travel or they can see the future. Both our main characters can see the future. And neither of them are particularly likable characters. They're both very flawed. The premise of the 6 months, 3 days is that's how long their relationship is supposed to be. And that it ends after 6 months, 3 days. And both of them have seen this. And because both of them see the future, they've seen how everything plays out. But Doug, who is our MMC, sees multiple options for the future, whereas Judy, our FMC, only sees the future in how it affects her particular life. So Doug sees more than she does. This dynamic really messes with the relationship in that Judy has seen that she has a really fulfilling life. She's married, she's got kids, she dies surrounded by family when she's old. And that's the future that she's aiming for. So every decision she makes is based around the potential implications of every interaction she has with anyone around her. And so she knows that Doug is only one stop on her journey. And they talk about that. The problem being is that for Doug, Judy is his person, and that their relationship is his relationship. And so they are incredibly toxic for one another through the course of this relationship, because Judy is unwilling to see what happens past the end date of their relationship, and Doug is trying to convince her to try. So it's a really interesting short science fiction story. I wouldn't call it a romance at all, because their romance is not healthy and the thing doesn't end in a good place. But it's a really interesting exploration of, if you could know how everything played out, what would you do? And how does that change you? Yeah, it's a really fascinating little short story. All right, so I'm going to read Deja Brew just because I think I'll be able to read it fairly quickly, and before anyone comes at me about reading things quickly. I'm just looking for quick reading hits at the moment today. It's also nearly lunchtime, so I want something that's not going to take a particularly long time. We'll see if I get through Deja Brew, because it could still be a DNF. All right, everyone. So I did finish reading Deja Brew, and just like all of Jessica Gadziala's books that are set in the Navasink Bank world, they're romantic suspensey and just ridiculous and over the top. When I talk about it, and I know I talked about this in the last try chapter where I actually DNF'd a Jessica Gadziala book, I know exactly what I'm getting from this kind of book. So you have Shale, who owns the cafe, who has been blackmailed into trafficking drugs for a cartel. And you have Junior, who is a hacker, who is related to various characters that have been introduced in other books. And I can't remember if I've read all of their stories, but anyway, it is what it is. He's a regular customer at her cafe. He notices that something isn't right and basically browbeats her into, telling him what's going on, and then is determined to make sure that she is safe. The whole thing about this is you have overprotective alpha MMCs. The FMC will probably get kidnapped at some point. She does. And then it's all just ridiculous, over the top romantic suspense kind of stuff. This one has a side character called Barry, who just hangs around Junior's house and is like the annoying little brother. And Junior is just like so frustrated, and Shale just delights in teasing Junior about it. I loved that. And there's also a dog at the end. So yay, we love dogs. Delightful time. Like, this book is about 220 pages. It probably took me about an hour and a half with interruptions to read it. This is what I mean by quick, easy reads. And I had a good time with it. But now it's lunchtime and I need to go eat some food. So in order to wrap all of that up, I had 2 DNFs. I read 2 of the books, and the other 6, I have one that I'm still on the fence about, Sir by N.R. Walker, still not 100% certain. And the others I desperately want to read, especially when Women or Dragons. I just didn't want to feel rushed in reading that. I just want to find a time like that. To me is like the perfect mood reading kind of book, so I'm saving that. But yes, hopefully you enjoyed this try chapter video. In the comments I'd love to know if you've read any of the books or if you're planning on picking any of them up, or if there are any of the ones that I haven't read yet but I'm keeping that you'd like to hear me review. Feel free to let me know that down below as well. If you want to let me know that you're here but you don't want to leave a comment, feel free to leave a book stack emoji. Otherwise, I hope that wherever you are in the world you're staying safe and healthy, and I'll see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.